Hello everyone, my name is Arthur Morris and welcome to Adding Sign Numbers. Adding sign numbers is pretty simple. You've added positive numbers before, you've actually added negative numbers also. So the algebraic rules are if we are adding two numbers with the same sign, then we add the absolute values of the numbers and we keep the sign. 5 plus 5 is 10, negative 5 plus negative 5 is negative 10. If we're adding numbers with different signs, then we subtract the absolute value of the numbers and keep the sign of the number that has the larger absolute value. And I keep using this term absolute value. The absolute value means the distance that a number is away from zero on a number line. So if I want to find the absolute value, and that's what these bars mean, find the absolute value. If I wanted to find the absolute value of negative 2, well, negative 2 is 2 places away from 0 on the number line. The absolute value of 10, 10 is 10 places away from 0. And the absolute value of negative 1/5, well, negative 1/5 is just 1/5 of a place away from 0. So that's what we mean about absolute value. All right, so let's look at a few examples. So if I'm adding 2 plus 5, well, we know that to be 7. I have positive 2, I make a $5 deposit, well, I have $7. Well, if I'm in the hole negative $2 and I spend $5 more, then that should be negative 7. Well, looking at that algebraically, the absolute value of negative 2 is 2, the absolute value of 5 is 5. Add those numbers, which would give us 7, and keep the sign, so that's negative 7. 4 plus 8 is simply 4 plus 8, which is 12, adding two positive numbers. However, if I add negative 4, or add negative 8 to negative 4, well, I'm already in the hole with negative 8, and I go deeper in the hole adding, already in the hole with negative 4, and I go deeper in the hole by adding negative 8. So that's going to put us at negative 12. Again, we know the answer should be negative because we're adding two negative numbers. The absolute values of those numbers are 4 and 8, which gives us 12, so negative 12. Well, what about if we have numbers with different signs? 10 plus negative 4. I have $10 in the bank and I spend $4, so I still have $6 left. Well, if we look at this algebraically, then the absolute value, we would find the difference of the absolute values. 10, absolute value of 4, so minus 4 would equal 6. And we keep the sign of the number that has a larger absolute value. So 10 was positive, so it should be positive 6. Here we have negative 10 plus negative 4. So the number with the larger absolute value is negative, so my result should be negative. Find the difference of the numbers, which is 6, so my result is negative 6. That's like saying that we're $10 in the hole and we make a $4 deposit. Well, we don't quite get back to 0, so we're at negative 6. We have $20 in the bank and we spend 8, so we will stay positive 12. We're $20 in the hole, we make an $8 deposit, so the absolute value of 20, this has a large absolute value and it's negative. The difference between those two numbers, the absolute value of those numbers, will be 12. So my result is negative 12. Okay. Now let's look at a couple of fraction examples. Remember, to add or subtract fractions, you must have common denominators, and that's the same here. So the common denominator is the first number that your denominators will go into. So my first number that 3 and 5 will go into is 15. So I'm going to rewrite my problem with denominators of 15. Well, I multiplied 3 times 5 to get that 15, so I need to multiply my top number by the same thing to keep that fraction equivalent. So that's 10/15. What did we multiply 5 by to get 15? Times 3. So I'm going to multiply the top number by 3 also to keep that fraction equivalent to its original. and it gives us 3/15. Notice if I simplified those fractions, I would end up back at 2/3 and 1/5. But now that I have those common denominators, I can add those two fractions together. I keep my denominator like it is. 10 plus 3, they're both positive, 13/15. So looking at this one, we already know that we would have negative 10/15 plus negative 3/15 from the problem above. So now let's look at this by placing my numerators over one common denominator. So I would have negative 10 plus negative 3 all over 15. So using the rules that we just learned, I'm adding numbers with the same sign. They're both negative. So I would add the absolute value of those numbers, 10 plus 3, which is 13, and keep the sign. So negative 13/15. And that negative can go up top with the 13 or out to the side of the fraction, either place. Okay, what about different signs? In this first one, we have 3/7 plus a negative 5/7. They already have a common denominator, so we could rewrite that as 3 plus negative 5 all over 7. These have different signs. The absolute value of this negative 5 is larger than the absolute value of the 3, so I know my result will be negative. Find the difference of those two numbers. The difference of the absolute value of 5 and 3 is simply 2. So my result is negative 2/7. Okay, down here, same common denominator. This time I have negative 3 plus 5. The absolute value of 5 is larger and it's positive. That tells me that my result should be positive. The difference of 5 and 3 is 2, as we just stated. So that would be positive 2/7. Okay, I hope you found this video to be helpful. Look forward to working with you again. Thanks.